Power to the people. Comrade, awesome strength and definition is not just for the genetically gifted few anymore. Power for everyone, from burly strongman to a fashion model. The Russian fitness revolution for the masses is here. Thus spake Comrade Pavel. Power to the people. The reason conventional strength programs fail miserably is because they treat the body as a collection of meat and bones. There is much more to strength than that. You barely use 1/4 of your strength. You simply do not know how to tense up your muscles and produce force. Power to the people shall teach you how to increase muscular tension, multiply your force by tapping into your advanced muscle software. Here's how we're going to work this, comrades. You're going to perform a very simple exercise, the one-arm curl with a dumbbell. Not because the one-arm curl is a great exercise, far from it, but it's a good testing bed for the techniques you're about to learn. Once you have learned them, you'll be able to apply them to more advanced drills. The way we're going to do it is, you're going to perform the normal curl for 3 repetitions for starters. Just the way you're taught, whatever it is, just 3 repetitions in the curl. You must notice the exact weight, the sensation of heaviness. After that, we'll try something different. This time, do 3 reps in the curl, but crush the dumbbell to pulp as you're lifting it. Relax between each rep. Relax between each rep. If you've done it correctly, you shall notice that the weight has suddenly become lighter. How can it be? Your muscles receive neural commands, or juice, from the brain. But did you know your muscles receive juice from other places as well, including other muscles? There is a phenomenon of irradiation. Make a fist. Tighter fist. White knuckle fist. Do you feel how the tension spreads from your forearm into the biceps? This is how this works. We take advantage of this with the technique of hyperirradiation, or making a point of consciously contracting the muscles other than the ones that are specifically involved in the exercise. In this case, the forearms. This is not cheating. Think of it as cheering. The forearm muscle cannot lift the weight. Your back could, the forearm can't. But your forearm muscles cheer. They send extra juice into the biceps. So when you crush the dumbbell, suddenly you get much stronger. Between each repetition, try to relax as much as you can, and after sets as well. Next step is contracting your wrist. So what you're going to do is you're going to flex your wrist, just like this. In addition to squeezing the dumbbell, you're going to flex the wrist and do 3 curls. Everything else, do the same you're used to. Breathing, everything else. Contract, squeeze the wrist, curl, really tight. Really tight. Keep the wrist cocked. Really tight. Observe the strengthening effect each technique has. We're going to be adding on one thing after another. Squeezing also helps in all your pressing exercises. When you perform a barbell press, for example, squeeze the bar as tight as you can, and you'll be able to bring it to the top with much less effort. Whenever you do push-ups, grip the ground with your claws, and you'll be stronger. There's one more thing that you can do to make your presses more powerful, and that is arrange the weight in a certain manner on your palm. Instead of placing it anywhere in your palm, or worse yet, having it hang right here, place it right here in this spot at the base of your palm, below from the little finger, at the base of the palm. There is a simple test to illustrate to you what this little maneuver, which takes advantage of a so-called extensor reflex, can do for you. John, please assist me. Please put your hand out. I'm going to put him push anywhere in his palm in different spots. See how strong he is. Now I'm going to push against this spot right here. He's much stronger. Thank you, John. Do perform this test with your friend. After that, do a set of 3 push-ups. Off your toes, off your knees, against the wall, whichever way you can do them. Normal push-ups. Then do 3 more push-ups. This time, grip the ground with your claws and keep the weight right here. Observe. The palms of your hands and the soles of your feet have special receptors that feel the pressure. Once they feel the pressure coming from a certain direction, they make the limb rigid. They contract the muscle. By doing that, they protect your joints and strengthen you. That means that you need to press, you need to perform any lifts without the silly lifting gloves. Lifting gloves are just a fashion accessory. The same thing goes for your shoes. Scientists are finding out that people in warm countries with no extradition suffer fewer foot problems than people with $150 sneakers in the United States. The reflexes get really goofed up when you wear shoes. When you go barefoot, you fire off those receptors. You become stronger. You become stronger in greater safety. If the health club owner where you go to, for some strange reason, has objections to you dragging your dirty toenails on his floor, you can do the next best thing. Get shoes. There are almost no shoes. For example, wrestling shoes, ballet slippers, deadlift slippers, surfer slippers. Another thing that really is bad in the health club is the mirror. Mirrors should all be broken. We're filming this on Halloween, so I feel really strongly about this. Mirrors goof up your perception of your body. You should have kinesthetic awareness of where you are. You don't need to rely on the external visual stimuli where you're located. Mirrors are just a vain distraction. It's much better to look away from the mirrors when you're in the club. Better yet, occasionally you can live blindfolded, something Russian champions do. That develops better body awareness and makes you stronger. We have received assistance from the forearm muscles. Now, let's go to the other neighbor of the biceps, the muscles in the armpit, your lats and your pecs. If you contract those muscles, you'll be able to amplify your power even more. How do you contract your lats, comrade? While you're standing straight, totally straight without bending over, reach for the ground. Reach for the ground. Tighten your armpits. Imagine you're trying to squeeze a couple of objects in your armpit, just like this, arms totally straight. Shoulders come down, down, down. Now, try it with a dumbbell. Everything else just like before. Squeeze the weight, cock the wrist. But you're going to reach down, and then curl it. Reach down. Reach your elbow for the ground. Now we're going to work the pecs. How do you use the pecs? Put your hands together and press them. Press them together really hard. Feel the tension. Work your arms across. Feel the cramp right through here. Feel the cramp. Now do the same thing with the dumbbell. Reach down, cramp the pec, curl it. Reach down for the elbow. Reach down with the elbow. Tension. Keep your wrist cocked, reach down with the elbow, cramp that pec really intense. If you've done it right, you shall find that your abs contracting as well. The abs contract to provide the extra hyperirradiation boost to your biceps and to provide your foundation to push from. Can you shoot a cannon from a canoe? Yes, you can, but only once. So if you keep your waist loose, the way you're taught by people who teach you this silly concept, what they call it, isolation. If you keep everything else relaxed, it's impossible to lift any weight, put up any weight, because your body starts wiggling, your spine gets overloaded. If you keep your waist loose, your back is easily injured during curls or other exercises. So you need to contract your abs. How do you contract the abs? Brace yourself against a punch. Don't suck them in, don't stick them out. Just brace yourself against a punch. If you're having trouble, a punch can be arranged. At the same time, contract your butt too. Your butt and your abs, they work together. So if you're doing it right, it will look like this. Your butt will tuck in slightly. Very tight, very solid. Then when you're curling, which as I'm going to demonstrate right now with the dumbbell, your body should perform the same maneuver. You will also note that my elbow moves towards the center line with the help of my pecs and my side muscles, obliques. Most likely, I will even stand this way to get the best leverage. An ancient Greek scientist bragged, "Give me a pivot point, I'll turn over the world." That's what you should be able to do if you contract your abs and brace your body against the load. My assistant shall demonstrate it for you. John, please put your hand above my wrist. If you get yourself set up like this, then if you're curling even an overwhelmingly heavy weight, you will find that your back does not arch. Your abs contract stronger and stronger. It's a lot safer. If you do it wrong, the old-fashioned way, it will look like this. And then you hurt your back. Comrade, if you have a difficulty contracting your abs and butt simultaneously, one option you have is to do Yanda sit-ups from my Beyond Crunches video. Now, when we have contracted the waist really tight to brace ourselves, the next step is to contract the thighs to get an even better connection with the ground, to provide even better stability. What you do is you try to cramp your quads. Cramp them as if you would while sitting in the leg extension machine. Cramp them really tight. Lock your knees. Don't be afraid to do that. Really tight. At the same time, squeeze your butt. Contract your abs. Get yourself really locked. Now, do the curl. To make your rooting even more powerful, grip the ground with your toes. Grip it really tight. It's an old technique from weightlifters. Old-fashioned weightlifters knew that they had to grip the ground with their toes. They knew they had to brace themselves against the ground with their thighs. Back in the good old days, before people started lying down to work out, the leg press, the bench press, they knew to put up the weight overhead, they had to contract. Legs, toes, everything. You also need to screw your feet into the ground. If you were to do this, from inside out, but keep your knees locked, and just contract. Screw your feet into the ground. A lot of tension. So if you do everything that you've learned so far, abs and butt, armpits tight, reach for the ground, screw into the ground, thighs braced, grip the ground, just like this. Should be very solid. And have your partner push you. That's going to demonstrate you how well-rooted you are. John, please assist me. Don't hold your breath, but stay tight. Thank you, John. Now, the same thing with a curl. Comrade, Expect a 12% strength gain from the power breathing technique I'm about to show you. The mainstream breathing for exercise advice is stupid and limited. Inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. How to inhale? How to exhale? Can you really inhale on the way down? And how do you exhale? For example, here's an exhalation. And here's an exhalation. Do you see the difference? There is something called the neuromuscular reflex that amplifies your power. If you can think of your muscle as the loudspeaker, your brain as the CD player, the amount of internal pressure in your stomach can be considered the volume control. Whenever that value drops off, you're suddenly weak. You would never think of lifting something heavy this way. On the other hand, when the pressure inside is built up, you immediately become stronger. So here's power breathing. Inhale and pull up your butt. That is, contract your rectal sphincter. The same sensation you have if you're trying to stop going to the bathroom. This measure saves you from hemorrhoids, hopefully, and increases the intra-abdominal pressure further to make you stronger. Then exhale while synchronizing the exhalation with the movement of the arms, and exhale under really high pressure while still keeping your sphincter contracted. Make this movement last a couple seconds, just like this, and do what martial artists called matching the breath with the force. Got a question for you. If you had a bench press, if you're pressing heavy weight, and if you try to perform a scream like a martial artist would, what would happen to you? You'd get crushed. No, you would try to keep the pressure and the tension for the duration of the exertion. That is, matching the breath with the force. Make sure to stop before you run out of air. When you run out of air, you suddenly become very weak. You're going to be there for the taking and easily injured. Just to demonstrate how powerful power breathing is, do a test with your partner where first you perform the curl against your partner using every technique you've learned and breathe in some way, in some fashion you've been taught before. Then add power breathing and see what happens. John, please assist me. Thank you, John. Enjoy. Understand that holding your breath, power breathing, and high tension exercises may elevate your blood pressure temporarily. If you have high blood pressure, heart condition, any other health concerns, make sure to talk to your doctor before doing this or any other exercise program. Comrade, now you know how to exhale, power breathe, and match the breath with the force. But how are you going to inhale? In exercises like the curl, it's possible to inhale on the way down. In drills like the squat or the bench press, which compress your rib cage and make it impossible to expand your lungs, on the way down, you take a breath before you go down. Also, exercises like the squat or the deadlift that put a lot of load on your spine, you need more air. So you really cannot be power breathing and expelling that air because you need an extra cushion in your stomach to protect your spine. How does it work? How does a belt work? If you put a lifting belt, put your hands like this, and then try to blow it up like a balloon in your stomach. If you become really rigid, you should hardly be able to move. What if you don't have your belt? You've been lifting with a belt. You worked up to a heavy weight. You're feeling good about yourself. Your neighbor asks you, "Hey, you stud, go help me move the washer and the dryer." So you're feeling good. You're going over there. You're strong. You've been working out. You try to lift the washer. You walk out of here with a hernia, and a herniated disc. For the rest of your life, you fight for the cause of the lifting belt without understanding what happened to you. What happened to you is your soft underbelly wasn't strong enough to withstand the pressure, the internal pressure. Back in the days before people covered up their underbellies, they had abs. The number one function of the abs is to contain that pressure. So strengthen your abs and learn how to use them. How to use them for deadlifts or squats or anything really heavy. You inhale, you pull up your butt, you hold your breath, and you keep your stomach braced. That way, that air in your stomach is going to protect your spine. Most comrades accept the weight like a noodle. They get under the squat, they go like this, they pick it up. It's pathetic. It's weak. It's dangerous. You need to brace yourself against the load. If somebody's punching you in the stomach, you're not going to just stand there. You're going to tighten up. You tighten up for the upcoming force, so you must tighten up for the weight. I'll ask John to demonstrate to you what this can do for you, bracing versus not bracing. If I brace myself and tighten up before he applies the force, I can support him. If I stay relaxed and then tighten up later when the force is there, it's too late. It's just too late. So you tighten up before you accept the weight. Tighten up, stay tight, and then perform your curl. You must have noticed that if you tense up before the load has been applied to your body, you can have a lot more tension than if you try to tense when the load is already there. You can take it a step further. If you tense up when the muscle is shortened, and then instead of just yielding and passively relaxing on the way down, if you hold that tension, hold that cramp, think of your muscle as a bow. For example, in the curl, people just usually yield passively on the way down. Try this instead. Cramp your biceps really tight, and then slowly stretch out that cramp using your triceps, The muscle pop just right back up. Do this. Pause for a second. Inhale, cramp the biceps. Stretch out the cramp using the triceps. Hold that tension, get down to the bottom. Squeeze. That's how we do it. For other exercise, let's say the squat. Once you get under the bar and you walk out the bar, flex your thighs, flex your glutes, and stretch it out. Comrade, let's review what you've learned. First of all, you need to squeeze the weight really tight. In any upper body exercises, if you squeeze the barbell, dumbbell, whatever else you're using, you will automatically be stronger. In curls, flex your wrist this way as well. Keep your armpits tight, like this. Keep your shoulder close to your body. Brace your abs, brace your glutes, tighten up your thighs. Screw your feet into the ground. If you screw your feet into the ground, make sure to keep your knees locked to protect them. Keep the muscles around the knees tight. Grip the ground with your toes. Just for an experiment, perform a curl the way you would do it before you started. Power to the people training. And then the power to the people curl. How weak. Pathetic. Feel the power for the one-arm curl and the rest of the drills in the power to the people program. I prefer to use a long bar instead of a short dumbbell. It's much harder to control and it provides a superior workout. Observe. If you cannot use a long bar because it's too heavy for you, you can get one of those easy curl bars. They're shorter and lighter. For the two-arm curl, you do very similar movement, but you make a point that your hands are like this. Your arms do not come straight down. Your arms cut down at an angle. That's how you want to grip the bar, at an angle. And you want to make a point that your shoulders do not come up. You always drive your elbows down. Don't do this. Ugh. ugly. It hurts. Do this. Enjoy. The pressing exercises follow the same rules as the curls. There is one distinction, one fine point that you're going to add to everything you've learned so far, keeping your body tight, abs tight, etc., pushing yourself into the ground. That fine point is pushing yourself away from the weight instead of pushing the weight forward. That strange imagery helps you to keep your shoulder in the socket where it belongs. It adds power, it increases safety. In the Power to the People program, we do not compromise safety for performance, or vice versa. Accept no compromises. John, please assist me. I'm going to put my hand out here, keep my fist like this, then I'm going to perform a press while using every technique I've learned in Power to the People. Now, I'll do the same thing, but instead of pushing John, I'll think of pushing myself away from John. Do you see? My shoulder will come down, my body will shrink. Comrade, the pressing exercise of choice in the Power to the People program is the side press. Side press is the one-arm overhead press with a slight lean to the side. The purpose of the sideways lean is twofold. Number one is to discourage leaning back, which can be very bad for your back. Number two, to enable you to use heavier weight and to work the muscles on the side, your lats and your obliques, more intensely. Observe. Carefully hoist the weight up. You might use a shorter bar, a 15-pound bar, if you cannot handle the long bar. Place your hand in the center, get close to it, and hoist it on your shoulder without leaning back and while keeping your abs tight. Once you got it to your shoulder, position it in the manner where your elbow is really low and the bar is slightly behind your back. Kick your hip a little bit out to the side and keep your abs super tight. Essential for safety and performance. Take a breath, squeeze the bar, and push yourself away from it to the side. Keep your abs super tight. Pull the weight back, and you keep your forearm vertical. Take a breath, inhale, abs super tight, squeeze it. Keep your shoulder in the socket. Don't let your shoulder come up. It's a kiss of death. Once this exercise becomes your favorite, check out the advanced variations of the side press in my kettlebell video. The floor press is a poor man's answer to the bench press. Everybody's got some floor. Lie down on the floor with the bar by your head. Keep your feet fairly wide. Bring your shoulder blades together really tight and push your shoulders towards your feet. Do you remember? Reaching for your feet. Open your chest as much as you can. If you do it correctly, your lower back will arch. At that point, your training partner shall hand you over the barbell. He's going to deadlift it and give it to your hands. First of all, before he even hands it over to you, you're going to inhale, flex your pecs, and tighten everything up. Make sure to push yourself away from the weight rather than push the weight. Push your chest out again, shoulder blades together. Inhale, flex your pecs, wrist neutral. Pull the weight down. Think of stretching the pecs like they're a crossbow. Chest high. If you're nursing a bad shoulder, or if you'd like to emphasize the difficult outside of the triceps, the lateral head, do the reverse grip bench press, floor press. Instead of gripping the bar like this, hold the bar like this, as you would for curls. Keep the weight right here. Get yourself set up the way you do for the normal bench press. Not every comrade can start pulling deadlifts off the floor because of poor technique or flexibility. If you cannot get down to your deadlift with the tight arch in your lower back, if your butt tends to tuck in, or for some other reason, if you can't pull off the floor, start with partial deadlifts. You can pull them off some sturdy blocks or from the power rack. The partial deadlift used to be called in olden days the health lift. It's performed the same way as the standard lift. Stand close to it, tighten up, get down, grip the bar, stand up. Butt back, grip it, squeeze your butt, snap your hips through, let it air out, inhale, push your butt back, let go, inhale. As you're getting better in the health lift, slowly increase the range of motion of the lift. Either use shorter blocks or use a different pin level in the power rack, or perhaps stand on some elevation like a few sheets of plywood. Old-timers used to dig a hole in the ground, pull the deadlift while standing in the ground in that hole, and gradually add up more and more dirt until they stood on the ground and they could pull a full deadlift. The health lift is a spectacular lift for strengthening your midsection and your back. Some powerlifters choose this as their abdominal training. It's important that you keep your abs extremely tight and hold your breath, as you do for all deadlifts. You could use even more advanced technique, something called reverse breathing. Here's how you do it. Diaphragmatic breathing. Many people have heard of it. As you inhale, you push out your belly. So the diaphragm right here, like a big dome, comes down and displaces your viscera, spreads out your gut. Now, flex your abs, contract your abs, and now inhale into your stomach. You shall find that diaphragm will come down, compress everything against your stomach. Everything gets really tight. And lock your sphincter too. And then perform your deadlift. As you're lifting, you could think that you're pushing the plunger down. From here, as you're coming up, think that the plunger is coming down and helping you to lift the weight. Enter the deadlift, the czar of all lifts. The deadlift works every muscle in your body, from your neck down to your heels. The deadlift, unlike the squat, does not require fancy equipment like power rack or spotters. Also, it's much more natural and easier to learn. Here's how you do it. Basically, what you do is a slow jump. How would you jump if you tried to jump straight up? You would do something like this. That's the way the deadlift works. When you stand close to the bar, you keep your weight on your heels, always on your heels. Then you load everything up, just the same way you did it for the rooting exercise. Inhale, hold your breath, and root. Then go down very slow, building up the tension in your body. Go down like you're fighting some sort of resistance. Keep your armpits tight. Keep your chest out. Keep your triceps flexed. It's very important for the poundage you lift and for the safety of your elbows. Keep your hands like this or like this and alternate them from set to set. When you reach the bar, you're still looking straight ahead. Don't look down. Grip it blind. If you're slightly off center, it's not a big deal. If you feel you're really off center, better let go and start all over. Once you have gripped the bar, squeeze your butt, and while still holding your breath, slowly perform that jump while still keeping the weight on your heels. When you reach the top, you may let out a little bit air, but not too much, because if you let it all out, you can hurt your back. Take another quick breath and quickly push your butt back to let the weight come down in front of your knees. Why do we do it that way? If you try to lower the weight slowly for the deadlift, it tends to pull you forward. So push your butt back so your knees get out of the way and the weight comes in front. Observe one more time. Never lean back. The deadlift works every muscle in your body. However, if you do want to emphasize your glutes, you can take a wider stance for the so-called sumo deadlift. Also, if you have fairly long torso and short arms, that may be the preferred stance for you, instead of the conventional stance, the jump stance deadlift. Observe. With your feet approximately shoulder width apart or slightly wider, with your toes turned out, and with your knees always tracking your toes, always. If your knees start bowing in, you can't lift much weight, and you are going to hurt your knees. Otherwise, everything else is done the same way. Screw your feet into the floor, tighten up. Push your butt back, stay tight, stay tight, stay tight, stay tight. Squeeze your butt. Do not start this way. Sit back. Have a good time. If you're flexible enough to keep your back flat in a low deadlift position, the extended deadlift is a super exercise for your quads. Stand on a block on an elevation and squat down lower than usual, then deadlift. Note that I squat down deeper. Enjoy the pain. If you'd like to emphasize your quads, do the duck deadlift. Keep your heels close together and turn your toes out about this much. Make sure that your knees always track your toes. Everything else, the same. Keep your butt back, weight in your heels. Enjoy your duckies. Comrade, the Romanian deadlift is your ticket to strong and flexible hamstrings. The authentic Romanian deadlift was performed in the following manner. First, you deadlift the weight that's lighter than usual, lift it up over here. Then at that point, you push your butt back. Imagine trying to stick your hands right here, open your chest, keep your chin up. Push your butt back and lower the weight as far as you can while keeping a minimal bend at the knees and while keeping your shins totally vertical before they start kicking forward. It looks like this. At this point, inhale, push your butt back. Keep a very tight arch in lower back. Go down as far as you can while keeping that arch. Breathe only on the top. And don't breathe deep. Set it down as usual. Once you become flexible, you could do this off the floor, shins vertical. So your shins stay vertical, minimal knee bending. Weight in your heels. Note where my butt is. Way back.
Straight arch.
Have fun. The Romanian deadlift will also work your calves nicely if you elevate your toes. So you keep your heels on the floor, but you elevate the front of your feet. Do everything else the same way you've done the standard Romanian deadlift. You get down, keep your shins vertical, lift up. When you get down, make sure to stay here really tight to crease right through here. And stand really close to the bar.
Weight in your heels.
Enjoy the dead Romanian. Comrade, you have two ways of using the power to the people program. You may follow whatever old routine you've been following, but plug in the high tension techniques that you have learned when we're performing the curl. Or you could perform the entire condensed power to the people routine, just the deadlift and the press. One deadlift, one press. You don't need fancy equipment. The only thing you need is a barbell and some weights. It's good news, because the old-fashioned 300-pound barbell only sets you back about $150. And guess what? I don't even sell barbells. It's time for Power to the People Manifesto. First of all, you don't need more than one or two exercises to work your whole body because of the phenomenon of irradiation, tension, high tension spreads into your entire body if you lift heavy and make a point of picking an exercise that works many muscle groups. The deadlift, by far, is the czar of all exercises. It works everything. By doing the deadlift and perhaps a press, the side press, or another press, you will work your entire body in just a matter of minutes. High efficiency. Although you work your entire body with the basic deadlift, if you'd like to emphasize some muscle group, for example, you want to emphasize your thighs or your hips, you can pick a deadlift variation. You want to work your quads? Do the extended or duck deadlift. You want to put some extra work in your hammies? Do the Romanian deadlift. You'd like to emphasize the glutes? Do the sumo deadlift. The same thing with the press. The shoulder, the military press. Shoulder and lat, the side press. The triceps, the floor press. Reverse grip floor press. The pecs, standard floor press. So do two of these exercises. If you wish to throw in another one or two, it's up to you, but I don't see the point. The curls are just the icing on the cake. You may lift daily if you're just training for wiry strength. You should train less frequently, 2 to 4 times a week, if you're trying to build muscle mass. Regardless of what your goals are, never do more than 5 reps per set. 5 is all you need. And never, ever train to muscle failure. For example, do 5 repetitions with the weight you could have lifted in good form 6 or 7 times. Cycle your lifts. What does it mean? It means start with a weight that's light and easy for you. You could have lifted it 10, 15 times, but you only do it 5 times. Then every time, or every other time, every third time, build up the weight. Slowly increase the weight. Sometimes you may back up. You can make the linear progression, increase the weight every time, or you can increase it every 2 workouts or every 4 workouts. Sometime you may back up. It's up to you. The important point that there is the progression forward overall, then you step back and start all over once you've reached the PR. Once you've gotten to the point where it's hard to increase the weight, you take a few days off and you start another cycle with a lighter weight. If you're working for wiry strength, do 2 sets of 5. One set that you're cycling, 5 repetitions, for example, 100 pounds for 5. And the second set with a lighter weight, for instance, 90 pounds for 5 reps. Next day, you'll do 105 for 5 and 95 for 5, etc. If you're building strength, take long rests between the sets, for example, 3 to 5 minutes. If you're trying to build muscle, compress the rest periods, 1 to 2 minutes, and do more sets. Do the same thing, 2 sets of 5 as before, and after that, do even more sets of 5. For example, 7, 10, even 20 more sets of 5 with shorter rest. So 100 for 5, 90 for 5, then 80 for 5, 70 for 5, 75 for 5, 75 for 5, 80 for 5, 70 for 5. That's your bodybuilding workout. If you train for bodybuilding, remember, do not train more than 4 times a week. Strength and muscle tone every day is fine, but make a point of doing it at least a couple times a week. For more details on the Power to the People program, see the book, Power to the People. Take the weight that you curled in the beginning of this morning's session. Now find out how much weight can you curl right now. Note the strength increase that you experienced in just one session. It's probably about 30 to 50%. Some people have doubled their strength in just one day. How many vitamins, how many years of health club workout did it take to increase your strength by so much? Power to the people!